Hey guys, so welcome to this video where we're going to look at the process I use in order to get our comics onto Amazon Kindle. So when we first started looking at this, we use Indesign to lay out our books, as you can see in this right now. Trouble with this, there's no easy way for it to be effective in a Kindle format. So you can export into a .mobi file if you really want to. You can use EPUB and stuff like that. But the trouble we had was on pages like the cover, etc., where we have text mixed with images, and these are not flat, you would end up having the text separated from the image in the final layout. So a way we found, after looking online and research, the easiest way we found was to use Amazon's Comic Maker. So let's go through. Here is issue 3 of Gallant Amos. This morning I've been putting issue 1 and 2 onto Amazon, so I'm going to do 3 now. I want to bring you along for that journey. So the first thing I do is I come into my file for Gallant Amos, and I want to get this ready for digital. So what I do is I remove the price from the cover, and then right on the back page I get rid of the barcodes, anything, and then I move this up, and then that's it. Now the next bit I do is, to make this easier for the Comic Maker, what I do is I export this. But what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to create a new folder, and I'm going to call it PNGs. Okay, finished PNGs. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to export all of the finished files as PNG pages, not as a PDF collective, just individual pages. So as you can see, I'm just going to set this to 300 resolution because it's going to be on Kindle, so there's no point going any higher. It's not going to print, for example. And we're going to do pages, not spreads. That's important. So we're going to export that, and then what you'll find is that in your folder you're going to find it's going to slowly start building out all those pages. You can see it's slowly exporting all those pages, and that's good. The next thing to prepare for is that we need to have our Amazon Kindle cover ready. So here is a blank template. So I'm just going to quickly import our issue 3 cover, which will be in the finished pages, issue 3. And then because Amazon has a set minimum size, I'm just going to expand this a little bit and hopefully not cut off too much of the artwork. So just do that, and there's issue 3 cover. So what we'll do is we'll export that, and Amazon Kindle requires it to be a JPEG, so make sure that when you're exporting as a JPEG. And I'm going to save this as Kindle cover. Now let's just check that. Yep, all the pages are exported. That's great. So now to the next part. You need to open up Kindle Comic Creator and click on the button Create New Book. That will bring up this little pop-up here. Now, as I walk through these processes of creating the comic and uploading it onto Amazon, I'm not going to tell you which settings you should use for everything. That's totally up to you. So obviously our comic is in English. We don't need to have Kindle view, panel view. We'll leave it as yes because it can do some automation, but we can set that ourselves manually in the video that I'm going to show you next. So I'm just going to leave all the settings as default. I'm going to do Gallant and Amos issue 3. Rob Barnes is our author, and it's Fair Spark Books. And then what we can do is we'll set our cover image as, so we need to go to our 3rd folder, and we want the finished pages, right? And then what we're going to do is we're going to look for a new location to save the finished book. So we'll go back to, this view is annoying me, so we'll go back here, and we're going to create a new folder called Amazon. So that's going to be our Kindle folder, and then we're going to start adding pages. Very simple. It's going to bring up a loading box. Go to your folder where all your images are that we've just exported and select all of them, and that's basically it. And we'll just wait for that to load. Great. Now the good thing about this is it automatically gives you a preview, and for us it's going to be very simple. You can just see the pages as a whole. Now I'll do another video about setting up panel view, but for a quick thing, basically you right click, new panel view, you drag your panels around and you highlight your panel, and you have to do that for every single page. But for now we're not going to do that for this example. We're just going to build and preview. Now that's just it's going to build the book, and it's going to try and open it in Kindle Previewer, but for some reason that link is not working on my machine. So we can open it up manually, that's fine, but I won't need to do that because I'm already confident in the exporting. So as you can see there, it got a bit confused. So the next stage, you've got your book. We can see that now. If we go to our folder, we've got an Amazon folder with our .mobi file. So that's great. Then the next stage is our uploading onto the Amazon. So what we're going to do, this is our Kindle Direct Publishing account. As you can see, I've started this morning to put books up, and we're going to start with Gantnamus number 3. So you have two options in Kindle Direct Publishing. You can either make an ebook or a paper book. This is great if you're doing self-publishing because you can just put print on demand via Amazon, but we're not doing that for today. We're doing Kindle ebook, so we're going to select that. Okay, so we've got this page, and it's going to ask us to do our settings for the book. So our book is obviously Gallant and Amos issue 3, and this is The Quest part 2. So this is Gallant and Amos 3. So the series enables customers, when they're looking at your book, once they finish the book, to see the next one in the series, but it also groups them in the view. So obviously we need Rob Barnes as our author, and we have a contributing editor of Dan Rushton. Oh, there's an extra S in there. Now description, so we just go straight to our page from our website, and we're just literally going to steal this whole description that we have and put it straight in here. So that's great. We own the copyright necessary to publish this because we're the publisher, and this is where you need to do a lot of research into your keywords that are going to make people find your ebook in the store very easily. I'm not going to do that for this purpose because I don't want people to see what we use, but I'm just going to use some generic ones that are comic, Dragon, Knight, Kids Comics, Quest, Adventure, yep, comics, etc. You then have to select your comic, you have to select the category which your book sits in there. So on is just a general comics or graphic novel because there's not anything that's like for adventure, so that's where it's going to sit. You can set the age ranges, but I'm just going to leave that blank for now. But definitely research this because obviously you don't want to aim your book at too young of an audience if it's not aimed at that kind of people. And I'm ready to publish my book now, so I don't need to wait for a pre-order. So let's just click Save Continue, and then it's going to bring the next page up, which is where you upload your book. So we're going to upload our file, which is under the Amazon folder, and it's the .mobi file that we created earlier. And then that's going to take maybe a minute or two depending on the size of your file and how good your internet is, so just bear with that a second. Okay, and that's uploaded. So the next part is obviously we need to upload our cover. Now you can use their cover creator if you don't have a cover. Highly don't recommend that, only because if you're using pre-templated covers, even for traditional books, people are less likely to buy them because they're just going to see the same thing over and over again. So definitely take the time to get a custom cover made, even if it's for a novel. So we're going to upload the Kindle cover file that we created earlier. That should take only a couple of seconds. Brilliant. Now that's done. We could look at previewing it, but I'm not going to, just for this particular one. And then I'm just going to set the publisher as our book and save and continue. And then there's one more step, and that's basically it. So once you click on save and continue, it's going to start preparing your files. So it's going to take the ebook file that you've uploaded, it's going to take the cover, and it's going to prepare it into the Kindle format that it needs in order for it to appear on Kindle. Okay, so we're on the next page, and this page is all about pricing. So there's a few things you need to know, and these parts will require videos on their own right, so I'm just going to skip over them. KDP Select enrollment is something that we can't do with our comics, only because it requires exclusivity on the Kindle platform, and we don't have that for our digital books at the moment. But we are looking at doing that for a period of time with new books before we put them on other platforms. So for now, we're not going to enroll it. We want to sell worldwide because we have no worries with our rights for this particular comic. And another thing that needs investigation from yourselves is which pricing support you want to go for. And this is a royalty plan based on you. Do you want 35% royalty or 70% royalty? Now, this is something you have to look into because each has their own costs associated with them and fees. So do a bit of research, find what's best for you personally. For this example, we're going to put 35, and we're going to set our book at $1.99 USD. This is the price we use on all of our digital prices online. The only one I'm going to change is the .co.uk one to 150 to be in line with our website. But the rest of them, I don't know too much about them, so we're just going to leave them as they are and see what the sales figures come out like. We're not going to enroll it in Kindle Matchbook because we don't have a physical version of this on the platform. This is if you also upload the book to be able to be printed via KDP, which we're not doing. We're not going to allow lending for this particular book, and we're just going to click publish, and that is effectively it. As you can see, that is now done. It's going to give you a confirmation screen to say that it's done and it's being processed, and it can take up to 72 hours for that process to happen. You can, at this point, if you like, divert and start making the paperback version of this if you are looking at getting it published and printed by KDP, which we're going to look at in a future video just for purposes, but we actually get ours printed from actual printers and then we distribute it to our customers directly, so we're going to ignore that. So as you can see, that's issue 3 onto the Kindle store in review. So what happens is it goes from in review, or it gets reviewed by Amazon, then it goes publishing, and then once it's actually published onto the store, it just says live. As you can see, this one down here says live. This one says live with unpublished changes. That's because this morning I updated the front cover. So it's live, but it has the old cover at this moment. So if you were to search for it, you can see it's got this horrible dark blue around the edge instead of it being a clean, crisp cover. So that's the change. I hope that has helped you try and get your comics onto Amazon Kindle. Let us know if you have any more questions in the comments below, and we'll try and cover that in future videos. And thank you for sticking with this series as we learn to get our books onto different platforms around the web. So thank you again. Subscribe and like this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye guys.